Welcome back to the Sunshine Coast Stadium to all you viewers around the world, certainly Australia and New Zealand, and actually a packed Sunshine Coast Stadium here in Caloundra. It's a wonderful setting here. The Australian Mixed Open team have just won their series 2-0 and will look to go to the third on Sunday to wrap up an undefeated campaign, no doubt about that. But here we are now. The stage is well and truly set for the Australian and New Zealand Women's Open match. Game 2, and with us, we're very privileged to have the four-time World Cup winning former Australian Women's Open coach and successful in 9 Trans-Tasman campaigns. Anyone counting out there, Mr. Peter Bell. Welcome, Peter, and thanks for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Bucky, and good afternoon to all our viewers from all over the world, especially some of my friends over there in both New Zealand and also in the UK. Tommy Devro, I hope you're up early watching it from over there in London. Just spent a few weeks there just recently,
Yeah,
Bucky.
absolutely,
So
Billy.
I know the English are watching this very intently.
Well, so, Billy, certainly the way things moved, certainly in Australia's favour last night, it was, again, a fairly polished, but again, you would have to say, a trademark performance from the Australian Women's Open. How did you see it?
I think the Australians were quite clinical. You expect it. That's the way that they play. They've got good systems in place. They've been together not as long as some of the other teams that I've been involved with. So there's quite a few young teams, quite a few young players, and there's a little bit of room for improvement. Actually, I was quite impressed with the way the Kiwi girls bounced back from that little hiccup they had earlier. I think a lot of the criticism of their team was a bit disappointing. I think those girls bounced back really well, showed a lot of courage to put it to Australia. Particularly early, I thought they were very strong in midfield. And I'm looking forward. I know that those girls are very proud, as indeed all the Kiwis that are here, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they can improve it and go maybe one step further and make this a really hard contest for the Aussies.
Well, certainly, Peter, that was absolutely the case last night. It took a while, probably 3 or 4 minutes in, for the scoreline to be opened, and that was a real sign of intent from the New Zealand women's in that stage. Here we see the Aussies being led out by Lizzie Campbell, and previously the New Zealand team now out on the halfway with their captain Jean Marsh in their team. They look pretty fired up, certainly the Aussies, but gee, I can see some intent in the New Zealand outfit.
Absolutely. I think, I was really impressed with a couple of the Kiwi ladies there last night, and in particular their winger, Cassandra Angler. I thought she had a very good game, particularly defensively. I think she may even played the whole game there on that left edge, and she went really well, as indeed did Aria, Tanui McIntyre. She was a very strong in attack for them. I'd like to see him use Mahina Paul a bit more. Mahina's got a great big ball, and she can get that, and they can set for her. I think they could cause and ask some questions of these Aussie girls for sure.
Well, it's certainly a young team, the New Zealand team, but you can always say that very same thing about the Australian women's side. Quite often it's the case, and it's probably a little peculiar in some sports, but you're certainly the architect of that, Peter. To see a lot of these Australian women's players make their debut in the Australian women's team before they actually make their debut in the Australian youth team.
Yeah, well, I guess it's all about the transition planning. You're going to lose, players to even these days where you're losing a lot of our better players to the rugby sevens. So our transition planning has to be really good. So a lot of these young girls have come through our system, and I think talking the Kiwis up there last night, but I must say I thought Tamika Upton, she'd have to be, in my view, very humble view, she'd have to be best women's player in the world at the moment. She was outstanding for Australia, so I'm looking to see how she backs up, and being a debutante as well.
Absolutely.
So we're looking for big things from her in Australia, but all considered, it's going to be a tight game. Matches always are, and as I say, you can look over there now and see the Kiwis in their huddle, and I'm sure they're going to bring something to this party. And it'll be interesting to see how what they've actually changed, what their coach Liana Fox has actually changed from last night.
Certainly it's a well-oiled Australian outfit, as it is the New Zealand team. They are in the huddle, as Peter says, opposite the Australian side, and there's some very, very willing chat, you would have to say, right in the middle of that. The captain really looking to inspire her troops. This Australian team, though, and it's to that very point, Peter, it's a total of 6 changes to the women's team from the 2017 series. And in fact, that girl, Tamika Upton, had a wonderful series in Auckland in January this year for the Australian youth team. And as we said, the transition from that team, Maddie Crowe and Tamika, coming up from the under-19s, and Patricia Michaelopoulos, in fact, one of those transition players coming from the mixed open into the women's fold. And what about that girl, wife of Dylan Hennessy, Emily Hennessy, back on the park after 3 bubs? Just quite amazing, isn't it?
Amazing, and she, I know that she's probably in the top 2 in the fitness stakes in this team. As I say, to be a mother with 3 kids and be the fittest at this elite standard says great things for her. So, I think the Australian team don't rely on any one player at any time, and I think that's been the beauty of the Australian women's team. They do play a team game. They're certainly not going to rely on Emily or Tamika on their own. It's going to be a team effort, but ready to go.
Indeed, here comes Australia now. At Sunshine Coast Stadium, this year's series, and indeed the Women's Open Division Series, on the line right here. It's that girl again, Tamika Upton, to her Laura Peaty, but just can't actually hold on to that one, in fact. Good defence from the New Zealanders though, Peter, too.
Yes, the middles are a lot tighter then. Last night the Kiwis struggled with the Australian sweepers, and there's a penalty straight up there. So, yes, so if they can combat the Australian sweepers there on the line and be a bit tighter, they'll go a long way to getting back into this game.
Here comes New Zealand on the surge again. Nice little decoy play there, and interplay out wide here. They'll have to manage this interchange box a little more sharply as the troops now come on, Peter, making their way into the line. Found a little hole, but just mishandled.
Very lucky. That was a good bit of work there by the Kiwis on the edge. I think the Aussies now are going to come away from that. They're probably going a little bit direct, as we see now. That will be the message from the coach, I know, from last night. A little bit more direct and put a bit of pressure on their middle.
Riki, what a go. She'll make her way out to the wing, but that's a great surge in the middle in the meantime. Emily Hennessy, watch out for those little green boots. They'll be flashing everywhere, but the referee's found something here. In fact, probably over the mark by the looks of things. New Zealand now take some heart from that.
It was a good bit of work by Isla Norman Bell there to get in and put a bit of pressure on, and it probably caused the error in the end. So well done by her. Good name too, so she's got a good start.
Something about that surname, isn't it, Peter? Here they are. They're managing that transition box a bit better now, and New Zealand making their way, but Shelley Davis up nice and tight in defence, putting a bit more pressure on this this Kiwi attack, but it's a spilt ball and another spilt opportunity to New Zealand. Australia will make their way back now through Hennessy and Shelley Davis. Great move, and it's interesting to see, and they see the defence is trying to come up early on the Aussies, Peter. But it's good to see them not shift straight into the transition box and actually go for the throat, as it were, and get onto the line as quick as they possibly can. And it might not quite just actually bear some fruit there.
Yeah, so again, you notice the Australians going down looking for the middle corridor, and but the Kiwis are looking good at the start with their defence.
New Zealand make their way through. Again, they were using that decoy play very, very well, in fact. Jasmine Hotham pushing the ball, a little marginal it seemed, but get away with it over halfway, and New Zealand will really like to get forward here, I would say. 30 metres out. Mahina Paul just not quite finding its mark there, and Tamika Upton will pick up, but they're in good field position, New Zealand, to defend here. Australia have to make their way out through Kim Soo-see.
Yes, I like what I'm seeing from the Kiwis here. They're a little bit more proactive defensively. As you can see, they're moving up good line speed, and that's always going to apply pressure to the Aussies. So they want to keep that up.
It's a 10-3 scoreline last night, Peter, to the Aussies. It was a fairly convincing effort, but once again, as it was last night, as it is today, here comes Michaelopoulos into the line. And Petey taking off from half, trying to find Patricia again, but it's not quite there. But with that 10-3 scoreline, certainly, Peter, it seemed to be that the same happened last night as today. There's 4 minutes gone and still no score. I think New Zealand can be very well heartened by that, and puts Australia again back on its heels, a bit of pressure on them.
Yeah, well, that's where they were good last night. I mean, it was a good start from them, and they're doing it again here. But the trick will be, can they maintain this for the 20 minutes? And that's the difficulty, especially at the speed these girls play. So they've got to be able to sustain it.
Tara Moore, he's past, just not quite finding the mark again. Unfortunately, the ground, and here comes Australia now through Peter. Hayley Maddock, she was immense last night too, Peter. And here's Petey again. Patricia Michaelopoulos. That's Sam Rogers.
Once again, finding a middle, as you'll notice. So there's Tamika on the field now. She's looking to conjure something. Gets the ball back. Missed out on that occasion.
5 minutes in. Still no score here at Sunshine Coast Stadium. Brought to you by our great event partners, Sunshine Coast Council. We thank them, BLK and Harvey Norman, for their great support of our wonderful sport, touch football, and certainly here in Australia.
Kiwis they're going to their box quite a bit, which is fine, but I think sometimes they can put pressure back on Australia by going direct and making them work just as hard as they are. But you know, it's not a bad place where they are at the moment, where they can just keep it going. Here they go with their defensive line speed.
Where are we going here, Peter? We're going to make our way to the transition box, or they're going to go short side again by the looks to Sam Rogers.
Well, I think they're thinking that that's easy ground down the outside there, but I think the Kiwis have got that well and truly covered. I'd like to see the Aussies come back to middle and apply a little bit more continuity to their attack, with putting a bit more pressure on their middles.
As you were saying with Tamika Upton and the form she's showing, she just seems to just get such easy yards, Peter, and the defence really holds off. And here she is from dummy half. What a wonderful ball. The referee likes this, and so does Mariki Watago. They open their account, Australia. What a wonderful ball and start to Australia.
Yes, and that will be the danger for the Kiwis. There is definitely Tamika on that right to left, particularly when she gets those opportunities, 4-on-3 opportunities, she's going to make the Kiwis pay. So I think they're going to have a look at their left edge there, hopefully not give them the left middle so easily, because Tamika has got that ball.
We'd like to hear a little bit more from you. In fact, Peter, just on her progress and her development and her backstory shortly. But as New Zealand now start to threaten, they would like to strike back here and even up the equation. And it's now New Zealand flying away with Jessica Mahar. It's a beautiful ball out wide. Kim Skelly likes it. Indeed, will award it.
Well, they caught the Aussies there with a call. I think the girl, she may well have not thought she was on, or the referee called her out of it, and then all of a sudden the play was let go, and I think that's how they got them, which is well done by the Kiwis. So it's back into the game, 1-1.
But Peter, here we are, 7 minutes into the game, 1-1. Your coaching career still continues around your panel work with Queensland. What do you think is going through the mind of our coaches down there now, through Swain and the crew on the sideline? What's going through their mind right now?
Well, as you know, Swain was my assistant, and he's a very capable coach. So I know that they'll be just trying to stick with the systems that they've trained. There won't be a lot of panic or any of that. I think it'll be just about executing a little bit better. And the Kiwis, of course, they're in the game, so it's just a matter of being a little bit relaxed and executing the plays that they think that they can do the Kiwis with. But at the moment, it's all the Kiwis on the. A particularly good run there.
Here's Norman Bell,
yeah,
shaping up to the line. She's a very, very dangerous player. Tries to shift it. Little flat pass out wide to her winger there. Unfortunately, didn't again make its mark to Cassandra Engler. Australia now looks to see if they're going to go open side once again there, Peter.
Yeah, they've got. Sorry, they've just watched what happens.
What a go now. Just making her way over halfway.
I was going to say, they've got Mahina Paul in this right link, and in attack, I'd like to see them.
What a go, gets away, Peter, and she's absolutely picks up. I think that's Tamika Upton in the uncharacteristic role of Mariki. What a go off her wing and into the middle and hits Tamika Upton out wide.
Yeah, it was well done by Mariki, who's usually a winger, but she's managed to pick up and scoop there on that link channel and set up another touchdown for Australia. As I was saying before, I think Mahina Paul is a really good option for the Kiwis on this right edge, similar to the way the Aussies use Tamika, because she has got a good ball.
Absolutely. Now again, New Zealand would dearly love to just square the equation here once more as they make their way through. Megan Campbell again. No, it's now Abby Johnson rather. That ball's gone to ground, but there is a penalty. That's 6 more plays here into the Australian line. Pretty assured defence, though, it's fair to say, Peter, too.
Yeah, the Aussies usually are quite good here. This is an area where they're quite strong. He hasn't. He's called Emily Hennessy there, not making the line or cutting across the line.
So that's again Jessica Maha that has put Australia back on their heels. That's 2 apiece here at Sunshine Coast Stadium.
You know, traditionally the Kiwis particularly were good with their static game, that was just a simple quickie and taking on the right middle. And I'd like to see them do that a lot more and put a bit of pressure on the Aussie middles. So that was a good bit of work, and we're 2-2, so it's shaping to be a good game.
Danny Davis and
adjusted well on the sweeper there.
Well, Danny Davis, it was a hard ball to take, coming right at up. In fact, it was Kim Susi. A bit too difficult to handle. It was a bullet-like pass there, but here's New Zealand now. Just make their way up towards the halfway and interchange box to see if they can transition out and put some more pressure on the Aussie defence. It's 2-2 here at Sunshine Coast Stadium. It's 9 to go in the first half. They are in fantastic position and field position now, but in terms of the context of the game, Peter, that ball looks a little forward, and it is. Australia make their way back out again. Peter, this is something of a start from New Zealand.
Well, again, you know, you wanted they're halfway through the half, so let's just hope they can sustain their pressure. Their defence is keeping them in the game at the moment, particularly through the midfield.
Davis Susi and Michaelopoulos now making very, very good yards. Sammy Rogers wants that ball going left and hits Petey. Petey now in close there for Susi. And again, that's a beautiful ball. I think it's Hannah Dybel would be the recipient from a Hayley Maddock ball. It was very tight down there on that link wing fringe there, Pete.
I was going to say, yes. I think Mahina Paul was just a bit slow to react to get out, and the Aussies have come up with a soft one, I would think, and the coach wouldn't be happy about that one. And I think they looked like they had them well and truly covered. There wasn't much on there.
3-2, a little bit of breathing space there for the Aussies. But the New Zealanders through Maha now, and just probing with Abby Johnson. Maha again. Abby Johnson down for Maha. There's a sweep play coming right and back left, but it's well read by Tamika Upton, Pete.
Yes, that was good solid defence on those sweeper plays. And, of course, the Aussies do a lot of sweepers themselves, so it's one play the Aussies probably could defend pretty well. That's why I'd like to see them expand, do a few other little things out here on the right edge, because that's their right-to-left pass that the girls should have.
Hannah Dybel certainly stamped her authority on last year's series. Do you see her, Peter, being a fairly pivotal figure with some of these others?
Oh, absolutely. Look, Hannah Dybel's one of the best young kids we've got at the moment, particularly defensively. There goes Emily Hennessy. Play on, says the ref. And
there's no room at all there. The referee, well, what do we see? It looks they're going to have a bit of a look again. And I think the ball is down because I think the sideline ref was actually calling.
Yeah, I think he might have confused his mate there. Yep. He probably looked like that he thought that the ball might have been dropped, but it was clearly down.
It's Ash Carney.
And this is what I'm talking about in terms of the Kiwis holding on here. This is the period of time where the Aussie teams can kick away from you, and they've really got to lift now, 4-2. They've really got to put pressure back on and see if they can. So we've got Mahina Paul over here on the right edge. Let's see if we can run something for her.
She's sweeping back right to left, as you well say, Peter. And that's backing out of that was Jade Bowen. Into now Tara Mohi. As you say, into Paul now. Just spreading the defence in now for Tara Mohi. Emily Hennessy.
Yeah, that's a deserved penalty. And the Kiwis ran a couple of good options there, just forcing the Aussies to disconnect with each other. And that's a good option. If you can just keep moving that ball and ruin their shape a little bit. See that, and that's why Emily Hennessy's calling their players to get up. They had poor shape then.
Great defence.
So this is good by the Kiwis here.
Paul.
Let's see if they can take advantage of it.
Tara Moe, Paul and Moe. It's well read. Looking for a second phase. The referee says play on. It was a beautiful second phase, Peter.
Yeah, it was very good defence too by Emily Hennessy, who was treading nicely on the line. She didn't bite into that.
Look at the pressure she's exerting.
Yeah,
Calling
and
her troops up.
she wants her troops up there, all right.
Fifth and last. Paul again, Peter, from right to left. It's a good ball, but it's well read by Michaelopoulos out wide.
Yeah, that was good defence. You got to give the Aussies a rap. Then they did defend that quite well, but a good signs by the Kiwis. They're putting pressure. They're asking questions. So that's what we want more of.
5 minutes in from the break, Peter. 4-2 up. Once again, the Aussies, well, they look to see if they're going to shun the interchange box, but here's Sammy Rogers making some great yards, and Emily Hennessy will take a well-deserved rest as Danny Davis makes her way on now.
Yeah, it's a good bit of work by Cassandra Engel again. That's what we were talking about last night. When she does that, gets up in midfield and saves some of her middles, it's good value for her team.
It's a great plan from Lizzie Campbell to Petey. This has opened up some space, but Lizzie's actually very, very well covered there from the Kiwi defence, but
bit of obstruction there as the referee's call. I thought it a bit harsh
position.
actually, but anyway, the Aussies have got six to go. Let's see if we can. This is a very dangerous sign here for the Kiwis. 4 minutes to go. You don't want anything at half time here. There's that sweeper play again. Good, well read by the winger.
The heavily strapped leg of Danny Davis now. Kim Soo See, what a dangerous player she is. To a girl. How much strike power has this team got?
Good, well
Peter,
done.
It was
a little bit of bad
defense.
timing there on that sweeper play. The Aussies, the sweeper went a bit early, telegraphed the whole thing to the Kiwis, but good, they got out of that one anyway.
A penalty would have been very, very probably warranted and accepted there by the Kiwis. It's making it very, very tough time to get out of their half to halfway. That would be 4 or 5 touches now. Mohi inside now. Mohi again. Here's Lenormand Bell. Abby Johnson, there's not much room out there.
You see a lot of passing there, but not a lot of value. I think the Kiwis want to apply a little bit more pressure to the Aussie middles. They're suffering just like they are, and they want to get some phase and back end scoops. Particularly in the last bit, everyone's tired. So that's what we should be looking for from the Kiwis rather than just passing for little value.
On the flip side, that right edge is proving so bountiful for Australia. So as Hayley Maddock hits Upton, and that's exactly the reason why they went the right. They came back left and right against Sammy Rogers.
Yeah, and skills. That's a left to right pass this time from Tamika. And that's why, in my view, she is one of the best players around. She has that pass right to left and left to right. So it's an awesome talent in the women's game.
But all starts on that right edge, doesn't it? They set up well with those first 2-3 rucks and then just make their way to the middle and put all the pressure back on the defence, Pete.
Absolutely. And as I said, you've got 3 minutes to go. Let's see if the Kiwis have got a tap play that they can get themselves back on the board here. This is what they want. They need to get back on the scoreboard.
Tara Mori again. This time with Paul.
That was okay. That was a good play. That's what they need to do. They need to ask questions.
What are they setting up for here, Pete?
Probably a quickie with Tara Moe again. Give the ball back to her. That's the two-step we call that. And that was well. It was on the winger, actually, but good positioning by Sammy Rogers on this left edge. She was in the passing lane, so she was in the way almost, but it was good. That was a good play set, and that's what they need to do. Tara Moe needs to get herself back out of that there now.
Australia now 5-2 up with 2 to go till the break.
You can see that the Aussies still full of running, and in 2 or 3 touches, they're already 15, 20 out. This is the difference. Emily Hennessy's footwork, Tamika Upton's passing.
Beautiful.
And there we've got a touchdown again. I think we've got no.
Good to see Maddie Crowe involved there, Peter, too.
No, we haven't.
Pass.
We've got a forward pass.
That'll do Maddie Crowe's confidence no end of good. In terms of just getting in the game and certainly getting some shape with Emily Hennessy on the surge into the line there.
Again, I think that at the back end of the Aussie set, you saw a wrap and then a long ball. There's actually momentum continued, which is what I want the Kiwis to do more of.
Our officials today in the Women's Open game, Rob Bowen, Richie Heap and George Haswell.
Oh, off the mark, and that's not a good one. The coach wouldn't be happy about that at this level. I think the referee could have been guilty of not communicating a bit better as well.
New Zealand again through Megan Campbell.
Good sweeper play.
Megan Campbell down. Long ball, it's there. She
went behind the line there, and she's paid the price for it.
Well, it's a fantastic completion once again there from New Zealand. They're staying in the hunt.
Absolutely, and that's what we wanted. We've got a game back on our hands. We have 5-3. It should be scoreboard showing that putting it on the wrong. That's all the Kiwis need to have their touchdowns put on the Australians' account.
Luckily enough, the live streaming's got it right, Pete. That's 5-3 indeed to the Aussies. But a great strike back once again to New Zealand. Here comes Australia on the surge. Susie to Petey. Petey, Susie. This time to Lizzie Campbell. Campbell again. Danny Davis, a beautiful ball to Watego. Makes amends for the last error up there in defence, and she's scored a beautiful try out wide.
Well, that's a coach killer. And, of course, look, the Kiwis, 10 seconds. That's all 10 seconds, and it's costed them a touchdown there. That's how the Aussies can hurt you. But, look, I'd be very positive with what we've seen in that half from the Kiwis. Even there at the end of that, the last set there, they were scrambling really well. There's a lot of intent, a lot of enthusiasm, and that's what they need to bring to the party. Otherwise, these Aussie girls, they like to run, and you've got to be in their faces and stop them running. But good effort by the Kiwis in the first half. And let's hope that they can. They've got something left in the tank, because this Aussie team is a fairly fit team. So we'll see.
You can see the New Zealanders. They're in the huddle and they're in the fight. They certainly want this pretty bad, and they want to make it certainly go down to decider on Sunday. And at this stage, though, you would have to say Australia now with the upper hand. What's the feeling in the camp, the wider camp, the mixed, the men's and the women's now, Peter? The series and the whole tournament on the line now, basically in this next 20-minute period.
Well, it's interesting that what you say. It's very important. Series are very important, obviously, in the context of the Trans-Tasman. But there's bigger fish to fry. I mean, this is the halfway point in the World Cup campaign, and I know from an Aussie's point of view, this is where they're looking very closely at their personnel. They're looking very closely at the strategies they're using. And everything's geared up to that World Cup in Malaysia in 2019. So even though you talk about the urgency of a Trans-Tasman, the Aussie intent here will be to make sure that they get plenty of their players opportunities or exposure to this level of touch. Some of the younger players are getting a good run. The coaches are trying a lot of different strategies, and I think while we can talk about the Trans-Tasman, this is very much a big exercise, a big picture.
We saw a very spirited assistant coach, Mick Musa, just laying down the law to the girls. Just what exactly do you think he's imparting to the girls there with the other coaches, Swain and certainly with Combat in his role?
I think Mick's role in that team is probably as defensive coach, and I think he would be just asking for some finer points or trying to get from the girls some specific technical issues they may be having. I think their shape, I mentioned it in the call, that their shape wasn't exactly as good as it should be, particularly in that red zone. So I think he'd be saying, we need to get back to what we do, what we've trained for, and adjust the defensive shape. Mind you, you can't get good shape if they play. Kiwis played a good up-tempo game there. It's very hard to get shape if the game's played at a pace that prevents you to doing that. So I think that was good signs from the Kiwis. They want to obviously identify that that's working for them and keep it up.
And what can we see from the Aussie girls from this point here now, as you see Craig Mottram laying down the law again with co-coach Mick Musa and Grant now, Swain rather, just giving the final word before they go on. Can we see a more spring in the step from the Aussies and really start to surge now as we make our way back for the second half?
I think it's just back to systems. Like it's 6-3, and I think the message would be, and that's how these teams, mixed women's men, train. it's back to let's get back to what we do well. Let's get back to the game plan. I think they want to be a little better in their execution. It's definitely a little bit better in their defensive shape, and it'll be just let's get back to what we do well and just focus. First 10 minutes, we often would say we just play the next 10 minutes. And let's be really good at executing for the next 10 minutes. And that's as simple as the focus will be.
Okay, so across the Tasman, it's Abby Johnson. We'll have to restart, in fact.
And she jumped the gun.
Jumped the gun. Abby Johnson was immense in the first half with Cassandra Engler, Jessica Maha and Mahina Paul and Tara Mori for New Zealand. And here we go again. Megan Campbell through Jessica Maha. Abby Johnson looking wide. Got a combination certainly amongst those 4 or 5 players, central figures in all their attacking plans so far there, Peter, although they've handed the ball back.
Yes, not the best of starts there. They probably put the ball inside the 5 of the Australians, so not much is going to happen in there. But anyway, here's where we've got to be good.
Good spread ball there. Harley Maddock, Sammy Rogers and Tamika Upton again central in that play. Here's Emily Hennessy. The fast feet of Emily Hennessy. It's a beautiful play. Looking for a second phase there. Wasn't quite there. She takes off from half.
She's a real jack in the box. And there's a good instance that even her own player didn't know where she was going or what she was doing.
Danny Davis wasn't quite sure whether to switch in or stay out. Often there's the case in the call. Stay out is generally the one you'd go for.
You see, by the Kiwis going to their box here, it lets the Australians off the hook a little bit. I would have liked to have seen them. You can't do it all again, but come back and down the middle of the track at their middles. And even Emily Hennessy's struggling there. Well done. That's a good touchdown.
Tara
under
Mori
pressure.
through Jade Bowen. That was absolutely fantastic play from New Zealand. And again, as we say in the context of this match, to get to 6-3 straight after half time really shows the desperation the New Zealanders. They're going to let this go too lightly, and certainly you can see that spirit and the intent on the sideline. They want this.
Well, it's 6-4 actually, and
6-4
that makes it even better because I think that very direct attack is, like most touch teams, is always the hardest to defend, and so they've used that well there.
Susie now, Maddie Crow starting to come into her own here a bit. Susie Upton back to Susie. It's a long ball. A direct ball would have been the one to Michaelopoulos.
Yeah, and there lies the limitation sometimes in women's touch, the left to right pass that Kimi Susie didn't quite have. The play was worked really well.
They went asking the same question down that right flank, but it wasn't quite there for Paddy Michaelopoulos, making her debut from the mixed this year. Tamika Upton calling in her captain and link, Lizzie Campbell. There's the long ball. That one should work, but it's a great desperate defence.
Cassandra Engler again.
Yep.
You see why I thought what a good game she had. And again, defensively, she's probably been the best winger here.
Yep. The Black Caps now, Touch Blacks rather, making their way out of their half through Jean Marsh, the captain. Once again, Jessica Maha. Gee, she's been busy. Oh, that's, in fact, my apologies, it's Jasmine Hotham. It's a great cross-field run, but just into the hands of Harley Maddock. Easily read there.
That's a good run by Megan Campbell, the veteran for the Kiwis, finishing off that set, which, again, that's good, smart tactics.
Puts Australia back well inside their half. It's Michaelopoulos now on the right edge with Upton and Maddock trying to get this transition right here.
Good pressing by the Kiwis, particularly on that right edge.
Hannah Dybel should well come into her own here a bit now, Peter. You'd think that she's got some energy left in her. She hasn't been too prominent at this point. Shelley Davis.
Oh, she milked the penalty well there. The defender hadn't quite made the 5, so another set to the Aussies. Now this is a big set for the Kiwis in the context of this game. There's that sweeper play again, and they've much better results for the Kiwis on this particular play than last night. So they've done a little bit of homework, which is good to see.
Danny Davis, great little interplay with her sister Shelley. Didn't quite come up with the goods.
Just Mar again. So this is what we want to see. Now, see, Aussies will look to run something here that's against the grain probably again.
tug of the shirt from older sister Danny saying, you come back here a little bit, Shelley, and play it where I want you to. Beautiful ball from Danny Davis. She's got a great right to left, long pass. Pete?
She has. And Kiwis, give yourselves a wrap. That was
Beautiful
a great
defence.
set of 6. Good defence, a repeat set, and they had them covered. Well done. Tried about 3 different plays there, and the Kiwis met them all, so that was well done.
You switch over the other side of the fence, Peter, for a moment and just tell us a little bit about how you would conjure something of a result here for New Zealand at this point of the match. Ball goes to ground, unfortunately, to outstretched Arilla Tawanui McIntyre. Not quite there.
Look, I don't think I have the answers like you might think I have, Bucky, in terms of, I think the most important thing here is stay in the grind for the Kiwis, which they're doing at the moment. And the longer they can stop Australia from scoring and apply pressure down this end of the field like they're doing here with their line speed, things quite often happen. Their tries are scored off soft things. It's just staying in the grind. And so far, so good.
What's really good thus far, though, with Emily Hennessy not quite being able to complete that way that she would like, but to be at this stage of the game with now 6 minutes left and to have stemmed the flow of this crack Australian women's side to only 6 tries, it's got to be very, very spiriting and heartening for the New Zealand coaching contingent and high performance program there.
Absolutely, and as we say, that after the negativity and comments made after the midweek game, by all the so-called experts, these Kiwis girls are very courageous and have done really well. This is the Aussie team, conceivably the best women's touch team on the planet, and these girls are in there with them. So, well done to the Kiwi girls.
Absolutely, it's a super effort, and it'll be something for Australia now to be able to try and cross the divide here and go over for their 7th. But Emily Hennessy's doing everything she possibly can.
And the Kiwis still competing in defence. This is what keeps them in the game. They're there in numbers again.
She's played a good foil this match, Mariki Wadago, Pete. To see, for a traditional middle and link play to shift out to the wing, but she's actually causing a lot of havoc up the middle. Yeah,
she's actually like all the Aussie women's players, when we select them, they're all supposedly to be interchangeable, and they're all maybe a winger, but we expect that they can play link or middle. Indeed, they do for their local club or regional teams, but she's done a good job coming off her wing. She's the best winger at the World Cup, and just showing she can play elsewhere, which is good.
Such is the versatility of this great side, but New Zealand, they're having nothing of that right now because they're looking to push hard and get very, very close. It looks like it's a forward ball call. And Tamika Upton will play it again for the Aussies. The time is, though, you would have to say, starting to edge out for the Kiwis here. Tamika Upton and Hayley Maddock. There's a lot of pressure in that passing there.
And there's pressure there because of what's being applied by the defence, and I think that's what we're talking about. This is the grind you stay in. So now they've got the repeat set, or they've got the ball in a good position on the field, so let's see what they can set for.
Tainui McIntyre goes down now for that girl again, Jessica Maha. Tainui McIntyre.
That's good for them to bring it outside that 5 to be a little bit better place to attack.
It's Mahina Paul looking to pick up her link out wide, but it just wasn't there that time, unfortunately, for Abby Johnson, but certainly causing some headaches for this Aussie defence. And if they looked up at the scoreboard now to know they're only 2, it's at knife edge here, Peter.
Yeah, and I think if I was over there in that Kiwi box, as you were talking about, if we were over there talking about it, I would be just saying more of the same girls, keeping them enthusiastic, positive, and this is the secret to any sport.
Look at this defence, Peter. They're applying all the pressure. It's taking a lot of effort for the Aussies just to get to the halfway line, and Hayley Maddock does that beautifully, banks up about 20 metres. Sammy Rogers, beautiful wrap pass there.
There's black shirts everywhere there, and that's why the Aussies. This is the last play here, so let's hope that.
And a die ball. It's a good ball.
Oh no!
Probably not the one to put the hand out for on the 5th to now put again more pressure on the defence, and the Aussies will certainly
Yes, I think Megan Campbell would like that one again. They had them covered, but now a repeat set. So first time in this half, really, or second time. Let's see if they can, defend well enough.
And a dive ball now.
Tara Moe's defending that quite well on the left side, but she'll need the help by her other middle as well.
Ash
so there
Carney.
she is up there again.
Great defence. Here's Shelley Davis again from Manly Warringah Club in Sydney. To her teammate from Manly, Hannah Dybel.
Abby Johnson's got to make those touches there.
Hayley Maddock now. Shelley Davis threatening. It's a great ball. And guess who on the link? She was very, very prominent last night against the Kiwis. And there's Petey, another girl from Manly, going over out wide in the link.
Yes, I think I called it Abby Johnson. It might have been Jade Bowen. But that right middle has to help out. You saw Tara Moe making many of those early touches in that set. Therefore, her side of the field is going to be a little bit more vulnerable. The right side of the field has to help. And I think that's part of the problem there.
Jasmine Hotham now through Mahina Paul. Jasmine Hotham on the left, waiting for that ball to come back from that sweep play. But it goes the other way now, is it? No, it doesn't quite hit her there. And 13, Cassandra Egler again, unfortunately, ball to ground. 9 to play.
The timing on that sweeper was probably, the girl had a long way to go, and it's probably not the best way to run your sweeper play. But let's see and let him get back into the grind here. Keep him out for this set. Keep the pressure on. And that's one way of doing it.
Well, Maddie Crow and Emily Hennessy there in three touches there. Very, very good 35 metres. And Mariki Wadago again, Tamika Upton. She loves this heavy traffic where she can Wadago again, but there's the 6. It's a pretty good set of 6, in fact, in the context of this match. 7-4 with 8 almost to play.
Looking from the Aussie perspective, I would like to have seen Swain get the Aussie coach get Tamika into the game a bit more. She hasn't had a lot to do. She's been quiet in the second half. Maybe they're saving her for the third game.
Short inside ball to now Jessica Maha, probing once again out to that wide, but she doesn't quite find the mark again. It's probably now starting to slip away, seemingly, Peter.
Yes, just lacking a little bit of structure there at the end, the back end of their set, how to finish it off. And
there's still some running in these Aussie girls' legs, isn't it, now with Susie, Danny Davis and Hayley Maddock prominent. Mariki Wadago. Kim Susie will relish this now. Obviously, she's coming off, but another couple of minutes to go. She would love to get into Shelley Davis, Tamika Upton now. There's Hannah Dybel. 5 metres out. Grateful recipient there, Tainui McIntyre of an intercept, but here they
good defensive set again by the Kiwis. So, it's not all doom and gloom for them. No, I think they've been very good defensively this time. Learnt from the last game. It's just their attack. Just need to Paul there. The idea was good, just the execution was poor. But again, Aussie wingers knowing where they're supposed to be. They're in the passing lane, and there's an error by the Aussie. So
you'd have to say good defence though from New Zealand.
Absolutely, and let's see what we can conjure up here. I'd like to see them run a play, traditional play, 4-on-3 pass for girls, and they're moving to a middle link.
So we see the ball made it work its way from Maury again to Megan
There's
Campbell.
That sweeper play again.
Shifting it probably needs to be a little quicker. It's good defence from Tamika Upton.
Yep, but that was good. Good play.
Just needed to be just applied a little quickly.
Yeah, you're hoping to catch out a lazy or tired link there, but Tamika was up for it.
Tara Maury again. Megan Campbell. Just enticing the defence up. Good defence from Danny Davis. She retreats. Maury hits Campbell, but second phase play is there, but they didn't readjust at the ruck.
6 to go. Aussie girls blowing up, but fair enough.
3 the deficit and under 6 to play. New Zealand need to score, and they need to score now. Maury. Tainui McIntyre. It was an offside goal. I think it might have been Shelley Davis, unfortunately, but She
Yes,
found the...
I think the referees just called her. She went early, which is probably the case. And again, that's a bit of a panic by her on that case. She probably didn't need to come in off the line that hard. Back to 2 points in this game.
Back to 2 points, and certainly the series and this division on the line. A lot to play for here, New Zealand. And here comes Emily Hennessy. Do they look to ice it here?
There's your sweeper play again, and they've done that a fair bit.
Just a bit congested in the middle. It seems that the Aussies are a little bit in front of each other there. They'll look to apply some sort of pressure on the Kiwis coming out of their line, Peter.
Yeah, well, look, I think they're, again, going to their bread and butter from last night. Yeah, we missed a forward pass there, gentlemen. But the play that worked from well last night hasn't worked for them this well in this game. The Kiwis have adjusted to that, and we've been a bit lacking in ideas down there. It hasn't been the variety that I would have liked to have seen in the Aussies in their attack.
Well, it is fair to say now, with 7-5 the scoreline, it has been an amazing performance from New Zealand. They've really applied themselves well, put a lot of pressure on Australia in defence this match. Susie again.
And they say defence is attitude, and it's a good attitude that we're seeing from the Kiwis, and that they want to be up there, they want to be competing, they want to do their country and their team proud, and that's what the name of the game is, and they've really put it to the Aussies. A good ball from Tamika again.
Well, clinical again there for the Aussie. Sammy Rogers again enjoying the spoils out there on the left flank. She goes over, and Australia chalk up another try to take that deficit out again to 3, and that's not the result Kiwis want, but they're starting fast.
Wow.
Very fast through their captain, Jean Marsh.
Good on them too. They got up there and took the tap. The referee was ready, and the Aussies were still coming back.
Coach will be very impressed with that from the Kiwis there through Jean Marsh. Very experienced play, that. Marsh again from half. Oh, the ball finds
that was
the
a half
mark.
chance as well. She had her beaten then.
The sun's been a little missing through the day, but as you see, streaking through this late afternoon period on the eve of the men's match here as Watago makes her way out. They've been strong, Australia, though, even though they've been frustrated, Peter.
Yeah, they'll and there's an error, Kimi Susi. I think the Aussies take these sorts of games where they've been had under pressure. They'll learn from it, and they'll go down, sit with their coaches, and go through the video and have a look at things that can be done better, and simply train for it. So they won't be too worried about it. They've got the series pretty much now with 2 minutes to go.
Jessica Maha now.
And like the Kiwis, I know they'll know that they can play better. So
Maha and Abby Johnson here looking with Tanui McIntyre once again, 7-on-7.
Yeah, she went in under Emily Hennessy there, which would be pretty hard to do at Emily's height, but she did it. Emily come off the line, but she went in underneath her. And again, we have the Kiwis back to that 2-point deficit.
Arilla Tanui McIntyre in the battle of the sevens. It's the Black Caps. The Touch Blacks, once again, I'm sorry. The Touch Blacks again now draw that deficit to 2. Maddie Crow, Kim Susi, and Petey now.
And once again, we run a sweeper play that the Kiwis have been well and truly drilled for. We've done it enough that they know that they pretty well know how to run that play or defend that play.
Looking to draw those middles and the link together, but Petey.
Oh, lucky.
Great defence, though, it is from Tara Mori. New Zealand now. Not exactly sure what. I think we've got an injury there. Unfortunately, she was receiving the ball, but there is a real shoulder complaint there. I think it is for number 6.
A forward pass in the end.
Tricia Hopcroft. So I hope she's okay out there on the sideline. But
so probably got 3 touches here.
Lizzie Campbell into Susie and back to Campbell. Susie again, Tamika Upton. Great short ball. Petey was denied before, but not this time. The 14 for Australia. She has been immense in these first two games, Peter. What a fantastic try for Australia. That takes it to 9.
I think what all the young players learned from that was she actually shaped to hit the winger, and it was a nice little soft short ball to the link. So that's what sent the winger out. But again, very good work by a very young player. So I guess if you take anything out of this game, it'd be from the Aussies' point of view that they've got a really world-class superstar in the making in Tamika Upton.
Indeed, and that is, with that touch there and a raucous crowd here at Sunshine Coast Stadium, a very, very jubilant Australian Women's Open team, and you can absolutely say a gallant and very brave and a fantastic performance from the New Zealand women's. 9-6 down in the end, but gee, they can be proud of that effort. It really sat Australia back on the heels. They had to work very, very hard for that, Peter.
Well, I said throughout the call, I'm sure, you know, that you have to take your hat off to the New Zealand women's team to actually compete with an Aussie team that ran the Japanese team off their feet. They've got off the plane, very little preparation, I'm hearing, and then to come up against the best in the world, they've really done themselves proud. I think this second game, they've learnt so much from the first one. It's looking good for them in the way they're going. They're going forward. I think the third game will be very interesting because they now know that they're capable of doing anything, and I think hopefully for them, they can continue the improvement. From the Aussies' point of view, I think if Tamika Upton hadn't played, there might have been a very interesting game. Tamika was involved in pretty much the bulk of those touchdowns, and while she had a good game, not that many of the Aussie players had bad games. I think they were just weren't let play the way that they would like to play, and that's the credit to the Kiwis, and that's what happens in this sport.
And just on that point there too, as the girls embrace there, Peter, it's good to see Jess McCall and Catherine Sargent in the contingent, the full squad team. They're very much a part of the first two matches and victories. Here's a scene all too familiar to you, Peter. What exactly is going through the minds of Coach Swain Ravelli and the girls at this point?
Oh, he'd be just really happy for the girls that they've won the Trans-Tasman Series, and while that is an important goal for all these young girls, he'd be saying that we know we can play better, and we know we have things to work on, and he'd be keeping their feet on the ground. He wouldn't be letting them get carried away with anything. And I'm sure you can see some of the assistant coach, Craig Morrow, there is talking to them. And I'm sure their coaches will go back and do a bit of homework because they'll need to, because the Kiwis are on the rise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a terrific scene here. In fact, what we have seen now is with that win to Australia, that in fact secures the Mixed Open now and the Women's Open divisions for Australia. And by virtue of that, the fifth game hands the series trophy to Australia and to the defending champions from Auckland last year, where they won 9 games to 0. But as we see in this game, the tail of the tape of that campaign in Auckland last year, it was so tight, the matches, particularly across the mixed and the men's indeed. It was just not that much between the teams in the final edit, Peter, and it's full credit now. Australia go to a unsurpassable 5-0 lead in this series, and they'll be very, very proud, as will the men's and the women's, men's and the mixed teams. We're shortly going to go down to Jean Marsh, the New Zealand captain, with Anthony Jennings on the sideline.
We're joined now by New Zealand Women's Open captain Jean Marsh. Jean, very competitive display, just fell short unfortunately. What are your thoughts?
Much better, big improvement from yesterday. We went away last night and worked on about 3 things that we wanted to change for today's game, and we picked away at them. Still not a win, which is what we're after when we come out here and play in every test match, but closer in getting there, so a little bit more prouder than yesterday.
And what about the series overall? How have you found your performances across the board?
We're growing. there's still another test day tomorrow, and we're still counting on that as being a big part of the test series. So we're growing, and we're still hoping to be a big threat tomorrow as well.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're now joined by Australian captain Lizzie Campbell. Lizzie, you've won the women's division. You've also won the Trans-Tasman. How do you feel?
Absolutely amazing. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on us today. We knew the Kiwis would come out a lot harder, and yesterday was pretty tough, but today was definitely tougher. So I'm really proud of the girls and, yeah, ecstatic.
And the potential for a clean sweep in the women's, the ladies all motivated for that?
Definitely. We got the clean sweep last year, and, I know how motivated the girls were not to lose that last one, because even though you've won the series, sometimes that can break your heart, losing that last one. So I know the girls are going to get a good rest and take tomorrow really seriously, and I'm sure the Kiwis will too. So we're looking forward to another hard game.
Thanks very much, and congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to both captains. Please stay tuned for the upcoming Men's Open game.
You need a modern PC. Times change, life gets busy, and a modern PC has the juice to keep up. With up to 200% faster performance, it's ready when you are, with almost instant power up and resume. And all-day battery life gives you freedom to roam. Get inspired with touch. There's no limits with an Intel-powered modern PC, and it looks as good as it performs. It's the way we live, only better. Modern PC at Harvey Norman. Thinner, lighter, faster. Get yours now.